This snippet of Dogs was so freaking cool, and the beat was so nasty and heavy, and I'm so freaking excited. So we've got to dive in to all of the 2hollis discography and kind of analyze his career here before he drops the Engineboy album. So come on, guys, let's do it.
2hollis has sparked a strong response in everyone who has experienced him. Whether you love him or you hate him, or you loved him when he was underground and are now disenchanted with this new label era, or you think he's always been an industry plant, 2hollis has the most definitely made waves in the world of music. He has transcended genres in a new and exciting way. He has built a very unique fandom, and he has represented a lot of the sentiments that Gen Z is quietly growing. Values of quality human interaction, a natural curiosity to question boundaries like he does with genres and with gender fluidity, and a rapid path to maturity due to the crazy world that he grew up in. He has uniquely taken different corners of the internet by storm. Opening for Ken Carson on the Chaos Tour in 2024, he developed a fan base in the underground rap scene. But his music isn't just rap. It isn't quite anything that we can really define. He also, just this month, was a part of the lineup for Dia de los Deftones, chosen and praised by Chino Moreno. Part of this, with the white tiger aesthetic, the water bottle and shampoo memes, if you know, you know, the Minecraft references in his music, the fashion shoots, and well, 2hollis is definitely a character, an artist, and a force to be reckoned with. And with all of this recognition comes a lot of praise, but also a lot of criticism. I just had to indulge in exploring all of his discography and all of his career because there's just so much to talk about here. So welcome. Step on into my classroom. My name is Teresa, and I am your millennial music auntie, exploring all things music with you here on this channel. This is a very fresh and new channel, and I am posting at least once and usually twice a week. So please don't forget to like and subscribe so we can keep exploring these fun topics. So this video is going to be in 3 parts. First, we're going to break down the actual music of Mr. 2hollis, how he has developed such a unique sound and appealed to the rap and electronic indie, and now in my opinion, maybe even the pop space. Then we will go over the Nepo Baby industry plant discussion. Third, we will go over the persona of 2hollis, the ways that he and his boy life friend group have challenged a lot of the toxic masculinity in the rap space, his outlook on things as he has said in interviews. Does that sound good, class? All right, let's get into it. Wait, before we analyze all of the albums, a quick bio for you, okay? So 2hollis is a rapper, singer, and producer who was born in Chicago but moved to LA at age 10. He was independent until he recently signed with Interscope Records before releasing his latest album, Star. His actual name is Hollis Frazier Herden, but 2hollis is his artistic persona. While he is also known as the White Tiger because of the consistent allusions to white tigers, he has also said that the 2 in 2hollis is an allusion to the duality of everything, which applies to much of what we will talk about today. 2hollis explores fantasies and world building in his music and fashion. The persona is all about imagination, and he has said that 2hollis could also be the hero of his music's world, but also that he might not be, and maybe that is just all up to interpretation. Mr. 2hollis has already put out a huge catalog. For those of you who don't know, he started out under the name Drippy Soup when he was 13. Then from 2022, when he was 18, to 2024, he released 1 album per year independently, White Tiger, 2, and Boy. So, the first full-length studio album released under 2hollis was White Tiger in 22, but there was also an EP, a self-titled EP in 21 that I should mention. It follows a lot of the same structure and material as White Tiger, but the ideas are not as developed. The songs are a bit slow-going and a bit more simple. The vocals in this EP and the experimental beats and singing and rapping did definitely get fans grabbing on and excited for more, which I think was effectively delivered in White Tiger. The biggest track in the EP for me was Shadim, which features violins, a huge dramatic exposition, and an exciting beat drop. Then we get to White Tiger, which seems to be an album about the creation and realization of the 2hollis character. For example, he spoke on a stream about a dream he had about a white tiger coming to him. I noted the lyric, "Gotta tell myself they love me, it's not fake." A lot of these lyrics seem to be specifically about his artist identity and his relationship with his artist identity. It's like the screaming rage in the track Actor and the experimental drawn-out ending of tracks like Raise that got this album so much attention. It does sound to me like an artist with an emerging sound and style, but there's an overarching concept here, and the eyebrow-raising experimental sounds were really well pulled off. This album was widely well received. Some did find it a bit messy with production, but I still think that most preferred the more messy raw sound. Some found it repetitive, while others found the repetition as part of the building intensity throughout the album, which was made it more exciting to them. In 2023, because Mr. 2hollis is consistent, he releases the 2 album, another very thorough project. The 2 album immediately feels more polished than White Tiger. He's made like a stark improvement in his production, which you can glean from any 15-second clip comparison of the albums. The song structures here are also more polished. He's generally sounding not necessarily more confident, because I think he's always been confident, but perhaps more comfortable in the sound that he's built. Poster Boy is a standout banger that has an shiny, like different sound to it, but it also has that simplicity to it that probably was why it appealed to many and probably grew his audience. You can hear the Skrillex influence in this one quite a bit also. Then there's the track Fame Runner. It has some special sauce in it. He's putting in ear candy types of panning, pulses in the beat, rage vocals on top of soft vocals, and Plaster is where it starts to feel like it sort of has a pop feel in the vocal. Overall, this album is dancey, electro-poppy, electro-clashy, hyperpop, maybe industrial, and I feel like it has less rap and trap influences overall, but it still has those influences in it. Then in 2024, Hollis gives us the Boy album, which seems to be a lot of people's favorite and is often called his best work. There's the track Crush. It's released as a single and then put on the album. This is a really memorable and catchy tune, which is perfect for his teen audience. This album overall is even more polished than 2, but it does to me have more of a contrast between the standout songs and the less memorable ones. I feel like here he's leaning more into the concept of an album listening experience, which I can definitely appreciate. Like that first track is like this long ethereal exposition. It's 6 minutes. And it's less storytelling overall in the album lyrically, but I do feel like there's an abstract journey here sonically.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Hollis, you made it. You are the coolest 12-year-old on the whole planet. Maybe even in all of LA. Happy birthday, brother.
By the way, you can hear a ton of Skrillex and 2010s EDM in general influence in his music, especially the track 3 on this album. I'm wondering if the majority of his fan base doesn't even realize this, because part of the fun of listening to 2hollis for me is the blend of familiar and new sounds, but is it a fresh slap in the face for most of his fan base? I don't know. Anyways, the biggest track for me, and I think for most people on this album, is Teenage Soldier. This track in particular really takes you for a ride, and the vocals here are why 2hollis appeals to both the rage rap space and the alternative Deftones type of vibe. This song is a great example of how 2hollis does the abstract lyrics that you can't tell exactly what they mean, and people think he's just saying stuff to say stuff, but I do think that they are put here to describe a very specific feeling or scene. Like, oh, I took her out to dinner, but she's crying on the way back home. But earlier in the same song, Tiger in the Cage, he's looking for prey. The general vibe and title of Teenage Soldier is giving us this abstract idea of the struggle with identity and the toxicity of teenage relationships, in my opinion, and I think that much of the Boy album is like this. So before we finish with the Star album, a couple of thoughts. every album that he's put out so far is doing an intentionally commercially viable thing with the design. You're getting the mix of ballads and bangers. They're intentionally designed to have some standout singles, whether they're released as singles before dropping the album or kept as part of the album drop. And Hollis has said that he records a ton of music and only lets leak a small percentage of what he creates. And that does seem apparent to me with how heavily curated these albums are, really taking us on that like listening journey. It's not like he just took the songs he had and put them on an album like I feel a lot of underground artists currently are doing. The other thing is the emotions. Like, Hollis is not afraid to put his emotional cards on the table in terms of his vocals, his lyrics, his sound design. When so many others in his generation are expressing themselves with heavy production and stylization or cleverly nonchalant lyrics, Hollis is wearing his heart on his sleeves and leaving it generally raw. The vocals are yearningly reminiscent of the emo and pop music of the 2010s, but contrasting with these trap beats and rap and hyperpop vocals and effects. It's further solidifying the rage element also. He's not always getting into that screaming territory constantly. He's contrasting it with this tender pop voice and this chill rap voice. He's essentially got three vocal styles that seamlessly interchange, and he's using these effects on his vocals differently than his peers, making distortions and covering elements to further display his teen angst rather than to hide from it. I think that this is a big part of why so many people have appealed to his music, because on top of the experimental sound, he really does remain emotionally sincere through the works. And throughout everything, I feel like also you can tell he is indeed a teenage transitioning to adulthood boy, and he's not trying to be something that he's not. He's even said in interviews that he and his friend group still view themselves as kids playing Magic the Gathering, etc., etc. I think that that's also kind of a function of the artistic persona that he created. He's using it as an extension of himself to fantastically explore his development. This is clear to me not just in the lyrics or the Minecraft sounds, which I think also count as artistic in my opinion, but the way that he produces his beats. Okay, so these beats. The synths are always a variation on one main concept. It's like this heavy, constant arpeggiated synth that follows a generic pop song chord structure, paired with heavy 808s and drums that almost always follow the stomp clap formula of dubstep and EDM in the 2010s. I don't know Hollis's music theory knowledge level, but it seems like he must have at least a little, because of the way that he makes these chord progressions through these arpeggiated synths, and then will invert those arpeggios to make like a converse motion. And I'm not saying that this is a bad thing. It's just that it has this energy and angst that I think perfectly characterizes a young man. He has stylized this production to the point where it is incredibly signature. You can clearly hear the influence of Skrillex again in the beats. I'll say that a lot. Emo and pop boy bands in the singing, some Prince in the theatrics perhaps, and Opium or rage rap obviously. In general, from the style and the vocals and the rage rap aspects of his music. That leads me to the internet native sort of allegations that 2hollis and some of his peers get. It shouldn't be a derogatory thing to have all of these different influences because you grew up on the internet. I think that we're getting something really beautiful out of all of the internet influences that 2hollis has. Like, I don't think that it's not artistic that he has Minecraft sounds. I don't think that it's bad that he's inspired by the hodgepodge, which is Skrillex and Prince and Opium, etc. I think that this is a good thing, and I don't think that we should be criticizing the newer generation of artists for it. But that's just my opinion, right?
It's also just so crazy how the Star album lines up with his family losing their house in the fires. This is like so sad and so meaningful.
Now to talk about the Star album and how it relates to the new record label signing and the Nepo Baby industry plant discussion. You are going to hear all of the same themes and styles in Star as the previous albums, but there are two key differences that I'm finding in this album. One is the production quality. It's much more shiny, perfect, and commercial sounding. Something happened, I believe, in the mix and master process of this that didn't before, and I wonder if that was something that needed to go through label approval since this is his first label release album, but I don't know because I don't know how that works. 2 is the thematic material. He's talking way more about his newfound fame in the lyrics. He's also seeming a bit watered down in terms of lyrical content, like the lyrics "I've been having real sex and shaking fake hands" in the track Destroy Me. It's just about "girl, tell me if you want me," which is repeated a lot. Some people are absolutely eating this album up, while others feel it reeks of commercialism, but I'm on the fence personally. I thought overall it was a very enjoyable album and that he didn't really stray from his signature sound that he's built over these years. But of course, also, you have to consider everything he makes is going to progress with what's happening in his life. He's now 21, experiencing this rapid rise to fame after all of those years of making music in his friend Nate's living room, and before that staying in during COVID, being a 13-year-old called Drippy Soup, etc. Hollis also said on a live stream himself that he doesn't expect his music to always sound the same. If it did, he would view that as doing it wrong. I believe that to him that this was viewed as an improvement because it is the most commercially consumable album thus far, and one could argue that it is indeed an improvement because of that. I also think that with his dad being in a band and his mom being a publicist for artists, Hollis has been exposed to this mainstream polished sound, and I suspect that he has always been planning on arriving at his own version of this polished sound. My take so far is that I just appreciated that he did put in so much work to have the producing, the writing, and performing chops before getting to that point, and I do very much enjoy the album. I do, however, find myself more of a sucker for the earlier, more tastefully underdeveloped sounds, though. It simply gives that authentic feel that perfect things cannot, but even in the Star album, Hollis did make it a point to give us some intentional imperfections. This album is overall exciting and impressive. It features catchy bangers like Flash, highlights the rage rap side in Tell Me, In Your Feels track like Cope, and eyebrow raisers like Girl, one of my personal favorites. The dynamics of the album overall are playing even deeper and deeper into that dramatic contrast between ballads and bangers. For example, the transition between Sidekick and Eldest Child. This transition is probably the most interesting to me in the album. He's going from basically what I'd call now traditional rage rap, so much distortion in the vocals and the beat, but still has his like dubstep type of sounds. Then suddenly we're in a raw, no auto-tune acoustic vocal that's deeply emotional. It's so raw, he even left the metronome on the beat. I think that this song has touched many people. It definitely got my attention. I'm also an eldest child. It has also made clearly for like an audience sing-along, get out your lighters or your phone flashlights at the show. That's the point of like the layered chorus vocals in the second half of Eldest Child. And perhaps others feel that this track is part of what made the album less authentic. Like some critics have said that it was random or ineffective. So I guess it's all just up to your interpretation, right? I guess particularly with him singing it and actually crying on stage, like that one clip that went viral. Some cried with him. Others said that they got the ick or felt like it was performative. I personally felt like it was sincere. I got a little sad. So he arrives at the Star album, he's getting all of this criticism, people are talking more and more about the Nepo baby type of thing, is he an industry plant? Some of his OG fans are not happy with the commercial sound. So what really is the whole conclusion on the is he a Nepo baby, is he an industry plant or not? Did Hollis's mom coach him this entire time to become famous because she's a publicist?
It really does not seem to be the case though, because I found this Instagram post from his mom 5 years ago saying that he's been careful not to involve her in his music career, and 5 years ago was when he was really starting to blow up. And he said that she said that he acknowledges his privilege and everything, having like a laptop and speakers and things, and that she's just really proud of him. And I don't know, from everything I've seen from the outside, I do definitely believe it, because it's not like he's just been a copy paste type of like person at all in the industry.
Even if she did, does it not matter since he has self-taught how to produce, has clearly put the work in? I'm leaning more towards just being happy for him that he came from a family that showed him the opportunities he could create for himself, and then respecting that he put the work in to do it well and to be authentic. However, it is very, very hard to make it in music, and so much talent does go unheard because these artists do not have the connections. Were there simply inherent connections that were made throughout Hollis's life due to his mom's profession that were bound to get him noticed whether he tried or not, which maybe he knew that, so he knew he had better make a good product so that he could take the heat that was inevitably coming to him when people found out that he was related to his publicist mom and his drummer dad. Another Nepo baby that I think of when I think of 2hollis is Willow. Willow's music is honestly so great. Her vocal style is really unique, and her parents are silly, famous, rich clowns. Just how much credit should they get for her talent? It's a complicated question, isn't it? There's also been criticism of 2hollis saying that he may be just using the Opium aesthetic to gain notoriety, and that may be moving more towards a pop sound in order to branch into the widest possible audiences and kind of kicking Opium to the curb. That, I think, is the main reason that people have been wary that the more polished sound of Star, paired with this being behind a first label release, they're worried about that, but I'm just not sure. Like, sure, it's possible, but from what he has said in interviews, from the thematic material of his lyrics, his continuation to self-write and produce, I just don't think so. I don't think that you can expect someone like Hollis to refuse to sign with the label out of principle either, because especially with his family's knowledge of the industry, I'm sure that for him it was a weighing of pros and cons, and that it was concluded to be the right move at the right time. I would also like to think that 2hollis is building a platform so unbreakable that he won't always need a record label. I'm very anti-label, can you tell? No matter the root cause of 2hollis' rise to fame, it does seem like 2hollis is using his platform for good in terms of music and how he affects the culture. So let's talk about the impact that he has had on the culture. A topic of interest to me is how 2hollis has challenged traditional or toxic masculinity in his persona. There's a few ways that he does this. He's showing the close friendships of his boy life group, and I believe that this is a great role model for young men. He speaks very openly about his values with his friendships, the common goals that they share, and how close they are. He and Nate Sib, Romulus, Jonah, and Conceal, I think I got these members right, I'm not sure, they're all showing young men that friendships can be lasting, meaningful, and intimate, which I've really only seen with girls so far, and I find this really refreshing. Another way that he challenges toxic masculinity of the world is this fantastical androgyny. He likes makeup and wigs, and much like Bad Bunny, he rocks this out and is becoming quite the fashion icon. He speaks openly about this, especially in this GQ magazine interview I'll show you here. He says that he embraces both qualities of feminine and masculine, again alluding to the duality of everything, but he says that he still identifies as a man. He also speaks on living real life, only having 10 minutes of social media time per day, going on walks, camping with his friends, and having real human interaction. Overall, I feel like this speaks to a growing sentiment amongst Gen Z. They're tired of this post-capitalistic or late-stage capitalism society and all of the disconnect that it brought, especially factoring in their coming of age during the pandemic. He's also mentioned in an interview reel that I can no longer find about being sober, and has spoken openly multiple times about quitting cigs, and I know that his good friend Nate Sib has also spoken at more length about sobriety in his interviews, which is another cornerstone of what Gen Z is exploring. They're exploring much earlier on in life what sobriety is and the beauty of life of living without giving into these major industries of cannabis, alcohol, and tobacco, and the lifestyles that come with them. Oh, well, that sure was a lot about Mr. 2hollis. What do you guys think of this rising star? Where do you think his career is headed now? And what has been your favorite projects from him thus far? I would love to read your thoughts in the comments below. What other artists do you guys think I should review? Let me know, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for making it all the way to the end. This was a lot. Woo! Bye!